Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes, it's me again. I apologise up front. It is clearly not Bob McCoskrie. As you know, this is meant to be the run order every week. So you're meant to be seeing the lovely face and the dulcet tones, if one can hear or see the dulcet tones of Bob McCoskrie. Bob is still not 100%. So I'm stepping in once again. So a little bit more on that in a moment. But welcome to all of you tuning in to this morning's Solid Ground here on Monday morning on the 7th of April. Where is the year going? Welcome to the show. As you know, Family First is now running every morning a breakfast show, effectively, either Bob or myself, talking about the topics of the day. And in terms of Solid Ground, it's a conversation on the cultural, political and social things which are happening, where I, if you will, ground them in good philosophy and ethics and, of course, faith. And as you all know, if you've been following the show for a while, Solid Ground is also a bad double entendre, a pun, if you will, on a good cup of coffee. And Fiona, if you're listening, I can tell you another mug is on its way. If you are tuning in, you'll be seeing this across an array of platforms. So make sure you jump onto the Family First Facebook page or onto the YouTube page of Family First, because your comments there will come to me live in the studio. And as you know, I can put those up on the screen. I can say hello. I can work out where you are from both here and around the world. And of course, for this morning, and actually this morning's this week, because it sounds like I'll probably be doing most of the shows. If you've got a question, if there's some political or cultural thing happening and you want me to comment on it, put that in the chat. As I say, jump onto the Family First YouTube or Facebook channel, and just like Alex here, it will appear on screen. So good morning, Alex. Lovely to have you here with us. As I say, if people have got thoughts and questions, I'm always happy to try and engage them, because this morning I've only got a few bits and bobs I'm going to share. But as you're logging in and tuning in, as I say, Bob is doing okay. Let's not panic. He's doing okay, but clearly still improving. Good morning, Carol. Lovely to have you along. And Chris, as always, Chris is one of the absolute studious supporters and very much appreciate that. In fact, Chris is a good illustration of having flicked through an email to me the other day with a topic which I was then able to bring on to Solid Ground. So thank you, Charmaine. Lovely to have you on board. And yeah, for all of you out there, particularly of the faith persuasion, keep a prayer up for Bob. He's doing well. He's recovering. Let's not catastrophize this, but he's still not well. As I said, it's affecting his eye, and we all know, how unpleasant that will be. So he's not around at the moment. Rochelle, good morning. Good morning. Desiree, welcome. Lovely to have you aboard here as well. Lots of familiar faces and some new ones I can see as well. So welcome aboard. But no, keep Bob in your prayers. As I said, we're hoping that he'll be feeling better. He won't be able to do straight talk tonight, so most of you will know, but just in case some of you don't, Family First run an array of shows. We obviously do these breakfast shows, if you will, or morning shows, whatever you want to call them. But we also do straight talk. Now, that's a panel discussion that occurs on Monday evenings from 8 o'clock. And so I'll be hosting that tonight. You'll know that Bob normally does. I'll be stepping in. So if you haven't had enough of me already, you can tune in tonight. And we have an array of guests. I don't have them in front of me. I am that disorganized, people. I am that disorganized. It hasn't been helped, actually, that we're about to lose power. I won't quite explain in depth, but something's gone wrong with my neighbour's power quite seriously, which means then the Auckland Power Company's got to come along and make some cuts. So I mentioned that A, it's distracted me this morning, and B, just in case all of a sudden this just collapses, everything just stops in front of you, that's because the power just went out. So I'm optimistic it won't happen just yet. Good morning to Rosie. Lovely to have you aboard. Nicola, look, thanks for being here. To Jacob, look, thank you. I know Bob is probably following, and for your obviously prayers. Do keep him in your prayers. It's not pleasant. And from Raitihi, lovely to have you along again, Jackie. Guys, thank you for being part of this. This show is, in many ways, is yours. So as I say, if you've got thoughts or questions, I hope you can read this. Jacob says, "Don't traumatize us with the word breakfast show." Yeah. I'm trying to supplant it, Jacob. I want this, if you will, breakfast show, this morning show, to get a higher viewership than the mainstream media. And I tell you what, we're well on our way. Bob and I analyse the figures most weeks, as does the wider team. And you are part of literally tens of thousands of people who are engaging with myself and Bob in particular through the Family First network, be it these morning shows, be it political playback on a Thursday, straight talk, obviously the McBlogs, our Substacks. It's all go. Bella, lovely to have you on board. And Alex, this is the impression I want to give, that I am a busy beaver. I have been, actually. It's all good, but it's all full on. Guys, just quickly, so this week, and then I'll get on to a couple of topics, otherwise I'll bore you to tears. This week, obviously on at the moment, I'm going to do Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to take a break this week on Wednesday and Friday. In other words, Solid Ground is operating. Daybreak is only this morning. I'll cover Bob this morning. Put simply, and you probably already know, it's a lot of work to pull all of this together. And so I just don't quite have the capacity this week, unfortunately, to do every morning. So obviously this morning, we wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'll be doing my shows on Tuesday and Thursday. On Wednesday, you'll probably see a podcast come out. And on Thursday night too, of course, you've got political playback. So that's just a heads up there to Simply Green. First and foremost, lovely to have you back on. And yeah, we do want to try and cover the topics that most of mainstream media will not touch. And we want to actually give it often commentary, which they won't give you. That's part of it as well. And it's only my perception, and you're all welcome to tell me otherwise. But one of the things I try to do, and I think Family First as a whole, is we not only try to give you perspectives, but sometimes just, if you will, the arguments that you can use. In fact, I've just been down at a youth camp. Rachel and I went to a youth camp this weekend with literally hundreds of youth, and basically just put to them, what are your political, cultural, faith and social issues that you come across, and let's talk about them. So we talked about everything from the Treaty of Waitangi to war, how we deal with a world full of pronouns and everything else in between. And obviously it's a discussion and a debate, which is really welcome. But the second is often, and particularly to young people, but not exclusively, there are arguments they haven't heard, because as you can imagine, we're awash with legacy media and social media, which often only just give you a single or monological view on things. No one seems to give the counter thought or the counter arguments. And so we'd like to put those out there, which is good. Hey, look, a couple of things. In fact, I'm just going to take a swig of coffee first, because almost the other reason for not doing the show every week is I almost lost my voice last week. It was quite funny. Probably a blessing to the country, actually. There we go. So, first topic. I know it's one we've all had before, but we're just going to make a comment here. There is no way this man is turning up to Parliament this week. Not a chance. And obviously, come Tuesday morning or Thursday, you can tell me off if I'm wrong, but there is no way that beleaguered Green MP Benjamin Doyle is coming back this week. And there's a number of reasons for this. Look, first and foremost, the nature of what he's being alleged to have done or possibly done, whether it's, as I say, just what's the word? I've just lost my English for a moment. Disquieting, uncomfortable to many, through to actually very serious. These are allegations, but there's no fronting by the Greens. So I've been in Parliament, and I know how Parliament works. They will hide him away, and I'm going to use that word quite deliberately. They're going to hide him away for another week, because after this week, the Parliament goes into a 3-week recess. Now notice I've used the word recess. It is not a holiday. Some MPs might take a few days with their family, which is great. and actually well deserved. But it's not a holiday. It used to be one of those things people would say to me, "Oh, you're on holiday, Simon." It's like, "Oh no. There's a huge amount to do." But this 3-week recess means that basically he can hide away more. You don't have the same scrutiny because, of course, you're not in Parliament. You're not being doorstopped by the media. And even though they're doing a pretty poor job, obviously Family First is not the platform. RCR are doing actually some good work at keeping this alive. People on X, and actually kudos to the Herald where it's due. They did run an opinion piece by Annie O'Brien. She's an activist who was calling out the lack of media and how the Green Party are handling things. But by and large, Doyle has hidden away from serious questions last week. He's going to hide away from them this week, I'm picking, which means that he can then hide away for 3 more weeks. So in other words, for 5 weeks potentially, he can hide away from scrutiny, and it'll be his and the Green Party's hope that the story just fades away. It won't. It's not going to fade away. As I've said, these are serious allegations, and I want to underline, bold, and italicize that word allegation. But I've just become, I suppose in my own reflections, the lack of any explanation other than the Green Party gaslighting those asking the questions. And gaslighting means basically trying to blame the questioner for even asking the questions. Has made me even more frustrated. Not only the inability to say, well, okay, if it is so, if you will, innocent or misunderstood, then surely it would be pretty simple to explain why. But the other is, again, I keep saying these are quite serious allegations. And the Greens are doing exactly what you would expect of a left-wing or far-left progressive party. And that's to apply to identity politics. And so really what Mr. Doyle's accused of is no longer important, it's who he is. And because, according to them, he's of the rainbow community, and of a subset of the rainbow community, which we're all still very curious about to find out what is this subset that likes to use blue swirly emojis, which the FBI warn us about, and many other things. But they're using it to protect him. And what they're really saying is because he is of this rainbow community, that he can't be questioned. He'd probably want to claim he's Māori, but there does seem to be, well, he's claimed he is, but it does seem that that's not quite true. He seems to have implied that he has a PhD when he does not. There's a whole lot of, other little markers are minor in and of themselves, people. But it's turned into a pretty bad picture. Rosie's right. The silence is deafening. And as I say, the silence really from the Greens is deafening. I mean, if this is so simple, why can't it be answered? Other than screaming at everyone that you're bigoted in some way. Yeah. Well, we don't know on anything on the charges front. I suppose part of the problem we've got at the moment, everyone, is that no one quite knows what's going on because no one's answering. But as I say, the main thing wanting to put across, I mean, this was speculative yesterday. Don't get fooled by the March 31st. That's when I think the Green leaders came up and blamed everybody else for daring to raise a question of integrity about one of their MPs. This was a headline from yesterday. So as I say, I'm picking you won't see Doyle in Parliament this week. It's similar to why I think you'll see the government push through as much controversial legislation this week as they can. I think there's some talk, and I'm no expert, but I think there's some talk the Treaty Principles Bill might be read a second time. Luxon will want to wash his hands of it and get it out of the way so that, again, everyone goes on a break. Yeah, there we go. Let's just see. I said I could be wrong, and if I am, you can tell me that on tonight on Straight Talk, or you can tell me on Tuesday morning. But I'm picking you won't see him. He's just going to keep hiding. Just going to keep hiding away. Speaking of hiding, this is the HMNZS Manawanui, His Majesty's New Zealand ship Manawanui. So you'll know it's sunk. I hope you can see it on the screen. It's all sort of blue. But where that little boat or waka, as you can see the outline of what was a $100 million plus Navy vessel, which somehow was able to be run on and to a reef off, I think, Samoa, wasn't it? And then sunk. Now, why I'm mentioning this, because this is one little thing that's really getting under my skin at the moment and has been for a while, is there is no, so far, accountability. This is a sixth of our naval fleet that was sunk by, basically it comes out as incompetence. If you've been following the news, basically they left the autopilot on and didn't think to turn it off. Now look, stressful situations and so forth. But what's been striking to me is this, and I'll put this on, it's, I hope you can read, and apologies if you can't, but the Navy last week put out its report. It's put out its report, and I was struck by a couple of things. I need to write a Substack on this, although I'm writing one at the moment on charities, because, as you know, the government and others are desperate to get control of charities. But what struck me of this Navy report was all its waffly HR type speak about deficiencies and risk aversions. And I'm sorry I don't have it all in front of me. It's, to be honest, it's not overly important, other than I found it, again, it's only my opinion, waffly speak on the Navy. And if you know anything about the military, and I haven't served, let's be clear about this, I've not served, but I've had a bit to do with the military over the years, they're usually straight to the point, no nonsense, black is black, white is white. But reading this Navy report, it's anything but. It's anything but. And I'm just going to see if I can put this up completely, because then I can read it. Oops, what have I done? Here we go. So what it's saying here, below you'll see CO, which is witness one, that's the commanding officer, that's the captain. They seem incredibly reluctant to name anybody or even talk about the captain, who, if you know anything about naval law, and by the way, correct me, the captain is fully responsible. What that says there at the top is that they assumed command, and then if you go below, there was not platform endorsed. So there it is. It's on that, what looks like the second page at the bottom. Right there it says, witness one, so the commanding officer, the captain of the vessel, was not platform endorsed. What that means is that we had a captain in charge of a ship who shouldn't have been. And that raises not only questions of competency of the captain, which we're told we're not allowed to raise or discuss, as others are putting out there, because it's as put here as a DEI issue. The irony is it doesn't need to be a DEI issue, but the way that it's being handled and the attempt to mask the captain in particular makes or focuses the highlight onto DEI. But here we have it in black and white. And credit somewhat to the Navy that they've written this, but again, for me, it's all a bit waffly. How on earth is someone in charge of our Navy vessels who is not, as they say, platform endorsed, who higher up the chain is allowing captains or people to captain vessels who are not trained, who are not qualified? And I'm afraid to say it does now draw questions. Why was this person promoted? And it does beg a number of questions, including training within the Navy, competencies. Do we have enough people? I mean, that's a really important factor as well. Do we not have enough people? But I am a bit concerned that the who of this person was more important than the what. Because we know at the time, the media, the Navy itself made a huge deal of who the captain was, who she was, where she came from, the nature of her relationships, everything. It turns out that she was not qualified to be a captain, and this was the result. As I say, I keep saying it because it's serious, and I'm not sure from the minister down, the head of Navy, those in command, the media seem to understand a sixth of our naval fleet, over $100 million, that's just the vessel, not all the recovery costs, is on the bottom of the ocean. And these are the same guys prattling away at the moment about increasing defence spending and so forth. Well, I don't know why we trust them with our money. I really don't. Personally, I don't know where the money's going to come from, but this stuff annoys me because no one, and this is maybe the last point on this, no one is taking accountability yet. It's been months and months. And as I say, are the media reporting this? The captain of the ship was not qualified. Okay, we're just going to let that sink in. Not qualified. Just a shocker. Robert's right. I mean, there's even more. The that's the outstanding bit. There's even more to it. Jackie's right, it is a sad image. I don't know the answer to this one, Rosie. I mean, this is why the suspicions around the likes of DEI come up. We don't know. Could be a whole myriad of truth, but you know what? This is what gives oxygen to the, if you will, anti-DEI. And again, it doesn't help them, in this case the Navy, or even those in political power who keep saying, oh, no, it's not about that, to go, well, no, you made a big deal of this a while back. You made a big deal of it. And now that the ship has sunk and the report comes out and said they weren't qualified, there's no discussion around this. So, yeah. Yeah, it's not good. I'm getting a bit overwhelmed here by all this. Yeah, I'm running out of, there's too many comments coming through and I can't curate them all. So anyway, I just wanted to draw that to your attention. This is something we should not forget, to be honest with you guys. As I say, I think there's my impression as a former politician, everything's being done to try and pour cold water over this, just to make us forget it. So it doesn't matter if it's the Manawanui here sinking, or Doyle, if I was to try and draw a long bow, both from a political point of view, they are wanting to try and pour cold water over. Last comment was just this little puppy that popped up, I think on the BBC, which made me laugh. Good old climate change. Climate crisis on track to destroy capitalism, warns the insurers. Now, the context of this, really quickly, is I think it's Allianz, so one of the big insurers or reinsurers of the world, is saying, look, just the sheer cost of managing climate change is going to destroy the nature of capitalism. So I can understand that argument. It's not particularly my view, but I can understand what they're arguing. But what made me want to share this with you is actually most of the climate change activists want to destroy capitalism. So you heard me right on that. Most of the climate change activists want to destroy capitalism. Now, that's not what the headline is talking about per se, but that's exactly what I sort of took or riffed from it. So when you think of your Greta Thunbergs, many of those in Greenpeace and elsewhere, they are far left activists. They want to destroy capitalism. You know it yourselves when you have ever seen a climate justice or a school for justice or school for climate protest. You're surrounded not by banners around simply climate change. In fact, most climate change as I said, activists and protests are filled with everything from gay liberation pride flags to Maori sovereignty flags, Palestine flags, communist flags, hammers and sickles. So what I was talking to some of these young people over the weekend, don't mistake, if you will, genuine climate activism to say, look, how do we protect our environment? How do we reduce our waste and so forth, like we do here at home? We've got our worm farm, we've got our chickens and bees, what can we do? Not to be mistaken with those who literally want to revolt against and destroy our society and to destroy capitalism. As I say, they're all the same crowd, they're all the same protest groups. They don't like the foundation of the family, they don't like democracy, they don't like science, they don't like capitalism. They all rage against it. So I just thought it was funny. I thought it was actually quite funny. So in a dark sort of way. Funny, but not funny. But yeah, climate crisis on track to destroy capitalism. No, I think that's the climate change activists, those at the forefront who are very keen to destroy capitalism. And you probably won't be able to read it right down at the bottom, but it's referencing the Californian wildfires and saying that, insurers are struggling now to actually cover fire damage for the people in California. And that's true. But what the media don't tell you is the why, and that's because the very Democrat-leaning leaders of California have mandated that no matter where buildings are, insurers must insure them. Now, that's great if you're being insured, but, that's pretty bad. I will tell you, as someone who's been granted in health insurance, that's not how insurance works. Insurance, from the business side, works on assessing risk. In other words, if your house is built in an open field by a lake, there's pretty much no fire risk and you will pay lower premiums. If you're up on a hill, miles away from a town, surrounded by bush, which gets tinned to dry and likely to burn up, you have to pay a higher premium. And obviously in the likes of the state, it's got really high. So the Democratic leaders there in California said, no, insurers must insure everybody. which basically would bankrupt them, to put it really quite crudely. And so they're just not insuring people. That's the consequence of too heavy-handed people involved. Politicians get too involved and actually perverse outcomes. So, anyway, Rosie's to my rescue. This is Straight Talk tonight, so I will wrap up here because amongst other things, I've got to get a foster child to school, probably my first priority. So a couple of things just to wind up, guys. Firstly, as I say, Bob is still not 100%. And getting better. He's getting better, but still not 100%. So I'm hosting Straight Talk tonight. It's a live panel discussion here from 8 p.m. And as Rosie's noted, it's Sue Reed, Peter Williams, Michael Reed, and Moana Ate are on tonight, which is marvellous. It'll be a great team. Secondly, a reminder that Solid Ground will operate this week, but I'm going to let Daybreak take a break on Wednesday and Friday. So you can have a break from me and from Bob. But yeah, tune into Straight Talk tonight, Solid Ground on Tuesday and Thursday. We've got political playback. Actually, what I'll do is I'll run this little puppy. But before I do, if you want to make Bob feel better, feel free to donate. It's not going to go to Bob directly. This is not the help support or bring back Bob campaign. But if you want to support Family First as we get into our 20th year, please do. It will be better for Bob. He won't be able to see the bank balance increasing, but it's still a positive thing. But here's just a very quick, and I'll come back on, but here's a very quick video, if you will, which just tells you all the things that Family First is doing this week.
If you're looking for news that you can trust, commentary on key family and social issues, and conservative conversations, go no further. Family First has them all. Start each weekday informed. 7:30 a.m. live, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, Daybreak with Bob McCoskrie as he gives an overview of key stories that you need to be aware of. 7:30 a.m. live, Tuesday and Thursday, a more in-depth discussion, Solid Ground with Simon O'Connor. On Monday nights, live at 8 p.m, watch Straight Talk with our panel. Thursdays, live at 5 p.m, political playback as we discuss the week in Parliament and New Zealand politics in general from a conservative viewpoint. You can watch all of these features live and also on demand on our website, Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn and on our YouTube channel. Plus, there's regular episodes of social commentary with Mick Blogg and weekly interviews in Family Matters. There's also additional commentary on our website, and both Simon and Bob are writing on Substack. Finally, something worth watching that you can trust. Go to familyfirst.nz for more details.
There you go, and I've been rightly corrected by Sue. It's not just Ate Moala, it's Dr. Ate Moala, and as Muldoon would say, she's the doctor who makes you well. In other words, she's a medical doctor, and Ate is marvellous. So are you, Sue. So this is the Sue Reed, who will be on with us tonight. She is amazing, as are our other guests. So, of course, Michael Reed, and everyone knows Peter Williams. So, guys, have a wonderful day. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 7:30 with Solid Ground. Bring your thoughts and questions. Obviously, I've got a few things bubbling in my mind, but the offer is always there. If there's particular topics or issues you'd like me to address, just put the comments in and I will do my best. In the meantime, you have a wonderful day. I hope it's as sunny and warm and lovely as it is here in Auckland. Look forward to seeing you all tonight from 8 o'clock and again tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m.